My name is Emma, and I live with my parents in a modest home. I have an older sister named Sophia, who, in everyone's eyes, has always been the golden child. She's undeniably more beautiful, smarter, and endlessly charming, or so our parents believe. They've always adored her, showering her with praise and attention, while I've often felt like a shadow in their presence, practically invisible. "You're hiding in your room again, Emma," they'd scold me. "You're such an idle youth. Don't think we'll be around forever to take care of you." Those words stung, cutting deeper each time they were hurled at me. I never expected them to be around forever, and I certainly wasn't idle. I had my own thoughts, dreams, and ambitions, but in their eyes, I was labeled a NET, someone who doesn't work, doesn't study, doesn't contribute. They never took me seriously, no matter how hard I tried to prove myself. One day, Sophia approached me with a smirk that barely hid her pity. "Poor thing," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're neither cute nor exceptionally talented, are you? Don't you ever wonder what you're even living for?" Her words hit like a slap, but I brushed them off. "I'm happy with my life, Sophia. Don't say such strange things." My response was calm, but inside, I was reeling. "Oh, well," she sighed, "do as you please. But let me tell you something exciting, something truly great." "What's that?" I asked, curious despite myself. "I'm getting married," she announced, her eyes gleaming with pride. "To a very handsome, high-income man." "That's wonderful for you, Sophia," I replied, forcing a smile. "I'm happy for you." "Jealous, aren't you?" she teased, her tone sharp. "You'll never get married, Emma." Her assumption that I could never find someone to love me was infuriating, but I let it slide. Sophia always loved to brag, to elevate herself by putting me down. Marriage wasn't even a priority for me, so her taunts about my single status didn't faze me. Whether I'd marry or not wasn't the point. I was focused on my own path, my own goals. Still, since she was family, I planned to attend her wedding to show my support. But then, Sophia's attitude took a darker turn. "You're coming to my wedding?" she asked, her voice laced with disbelief. "Yeah," I said, confused. "Is that a problem?" "Of course it's a problem," she snapped. "If a bottom feeder, idle youth like you shows up, you'll ruin the entire ceremony." I was stunned. "What's a bottom feeder, idle youth?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's exactly what it sounds like," she sneered. "You're completely useless, Emma. You can't do anything worthwhile." "Why are you saying such horrible things?" I pleaded. "I just want to celebrate your big day with you." "I don't need your congratulations," she shot back. "Don't come. Stay away." Her words were like daggers, each one piercing deeper than the last. Sophia despised me, and she made it clear she wanted me nowhere near her wedding. To make matters worse, my parents sided with her. "A bottom feeder, idle youth like you shouldn't be there," they said, their voices cold and dismissive. "You'll only embarrass us." I was heartbroken, but I couldn't shake the feeling that my absence would reflect poorly on Sophia. If no family members showed up, people might talk, and I didn't want to cause her any trouble. So, against their wishes, I decided to attend the wedding. I chose a simple but elegant dress, hoping to blend in and quietly support my sister. On the wedding day, as I approached the venue, my parents spotted me immediately. "What are you doing here, Emma?" they shouted, their faces red with anger. "We told you not to come." Before I could respond, Sophia stormed over, her eyes blazing. "Why is a bottom feeder, idle youth like you here?" she hissed. "I didn't invite you." "I thought it might look suspicious if no family was here," I explained, my voice trembling. "I just wanted to support you, Sophia." "Why are you thinking unnecessary things?" she snapped. "Your existence is a secret to the other family, you know. Did you not know about the family dinner we had? We didn't invite you because you'd only be in the way." Her words hit me like a tidal wave. "Why would you do something so cruel?" I whispered, fighting back tears. "Cruel," she laughed, her voice sharp and mocking. "This is only natural. If we admitted we had a bottom feeder, idle youth in our family, the marriage might have been called off. That's why we kept you out." My parents stood behind her, smirking as if they were proud of their plan. The three of them had conspired to erase me from their lives, to pretend I didn't exist. The realization crushed me, leaving a hollow ache in my chest. "Get out, you useless bottom feeder," Sophia yelled, her voice dripping with venom. I realized then that nothing I said would ever matter to them. My family had made their choice, and I wasn't part of it. "I'm going home," I said quietly, turning to leave. As I walked away, their laughter echoed behind me, cruel and mocking. "Goodbye," they called, pointing and jeering as I left the venue, my heart heavy with betrayal. But then, something unexpected happened. As I stepped outside, a voice called out to me, "Boss, great work today." I turned to see Caleb, a colleague from my company, approaching with a warm smile. Good work," I replied, confused. "Wait, what are you wearing?" He grinned, looking me up and down. "Yes, I'm the one getting married today. Didn't you know?" My jaw dropped. "What? Wait, how do you know Caleb? And what's this about being the boss?" Caleb's expression turned serious. "This person is the president of my company," he said, gesturing to me. Sophia, who had followed me outside, froze. "No way," she stammered. "You're the president?" "Yes," I said calmly. "Sophia is my sister." Caleb's eyes widened. "What? Sophia is your sister? But I didn't see you with the family at the greeting." I sighed, the weight of the day pressing down on me. "My sister didn't take me to the greeting. She thought I was a bottom feeder, idle youth." Caleb's face darkened. "Sophia, is this true?" he demanded, turning to her. Sophia trembled, her confidence crumbling. Wait, but she's always in her room, just staring at her computer. I never thought she was working." Caleb's anger flared. "Don't joke around. The boss gives us precise instructions from home. She's a skilled executive who runs the company with incredible talent." His furious defense stunned Sophia, and for the first time, she seemed to realize the gravity of her actions. "I didn't know, Emma," she said, her voice shaking. "I'm sorry. I never thought." "It's fine, Sophia," I said, my tone cold but composed. "I understand what kind of person you are now." "I'm going home. I'll call the limousine." "A limousine?" Sophia gasped. "A luxury car?" "Yes," I said simply. "It seems I'm not welcome here." Caleb's anger turned back to Sophia. "What are you doing, Sophia? How dare you speak to the boss like that?" "But I didn't know," she cried. "How can you blame me for not knowing?" "Ignorance is no excuse," Caleb snapped. "Boss, I apologize for Sophia's rudeness." "It's fine," I said, waving it off. "She's my family, so you don't have to apologize." "No," Caleb insisted. "I'll take responsibility and call off the marriage." "What?" Sophia shrieked. "Caleb, what are you saying?" "Quiet," he barked. "I can't forgive someone who disrespects the boss like this." Sophia's face crumpled. "Why are you so angry?" "Yes, I said terrible things to Emma, but it's strange for you to care this much." Caleb's voice softened, but his resolve was firm. "You see, I owe the boss a lot. I kept changing jobs, and my work history was a mess. I couldn't get hired anywhere, and the only places left were companies that ignored workers' rights and welfare, forcing people to work in unfair conditions. Just when I was about to give up and take a job at one of those places, my application was accepted at the boss's company." His words brought back memories. I remembered interviewing Caleb, seeing his potential despite his rocky past. "The boss said she wanted to see me, not my resume," Caleb continued. "After talking with me for a while, she understood who I was and hired me. Her company offers fair working conditions and values me properly. Meeting the boss changed my life." I smiled softly. "Is that so? I didn't know it meant that much to you." Sophia, desperate to salvage the situation, tried to ingratiate herself. "Wow, what a wonderful story," she said, her voice dripping with false sincerity. But Caleb saw through her. It's obvious you're trying to win me over, he said, his tone icy. I have no intention of forgiving the disrespect you showed the boss. Sophia trembled, her voice breaking. Please, don't cancel the wedding. Come on, father, mother, say something. She turned to our parents, but they were cowering, unwilling to defend her. We didn't mean to blame Emma as much as Sophia did, my father said weakly. This is all your own doing, Sophia. What? Sophia cried, tears streaming down her face. What will I do if the wedding is canceled? Caleb remained calm but resolute. If we cancel the wedding, there will be a cancellation fee. Since it's on the same day, it'll be 100% of the cost. What? Sophia gasped. 100%? How much money is that? The total cost of the wedding was $30,000, Caleb said. So, it would be $30,000. What? Sophia wailed. I have to pay $30,000 even if it's canceled? That's how cancellation fees work, Caleb replied coolly. And no, we won't continue with the wedding. I can't forgive what you said to the boss, and I expect you'd continue to speak abusively if we got married. I can't live with someone so dangerous. Dangerous. Sophia sobbed. That's not true. I won't say anything mean to Emma from now on. Please marry me. Caleb turned to me. What do you think, boss? I looked at Sophia, her tear-streaked face desperate for a reprieve. She's saying this now, I said calmly, but she's just saying what sounds good to get through the situation. If you get married, she'll surely start abusing you too, saying things like it's lazy not to do housework just because you're working, or that being a homemaker is hard, so you need to help with the chores. I see, Caleb said, nodding. Then it's better to call off the marriage. Hey, Sophia screamed. Don't say such unnecessary things, Emma. I almost had him convinced. Did you hear that? I said, raising an eyebrow. She said, convinced. That's not a word you use with someone you're going to marry, is it? Caleb's expression hardened. I think so. It's better to call off the marriage. I'll go change. He walked away, leaving Sophia shrieking after him. Wait, don't go, Caleb. Emma, what are you doing? My wedding is ruined. Don't blame me, I said firmly. It's your own fault. It's what you deserve. Sophia's anger flared. If you hadn't come to the wedding venue in the first place, none of this would have happened. It's your fault. Take responsibility. Bring Caleb back right now. I understand how you feel, I said, keeping my voice steady, but Caleb seems to have lost his will to marry. If you get married in this state, it'll only be painful for both of you. I think it's better to call it off. What should I do then? She wailed. You heard the cancellation fee, right? He said $30,000. That's a huge amount. Yes, it is, I agreed. Even if we split the cancellation fee, it's $15,000 each. No, Sophia cried. If they say it's my fault, I might have to pay the whole amount. Well, that's a possibility, I said. But what can you do? You've done enough to deserve it. Hey, she snapped. I just said some harsh words. To cancel the wedding over that? It's too much. Don't tell me, I said. It's Caleb's decision. She turned to our parents, desperate for support. Father, mother, say something. But to my surprise, they turned on Sophia and suddenly became overly friendly toward me. Well, I never knew Emma had become a boss, my mother said, her voice sugary sweet. Oh my, as a mother, I'm so proud. No, my father chimed in. I always believed in Emma. She's a real go-getter. From now on, let's live relying on Emma's money. I couldn't believe my ears. Relying on my money? I said, incredulous. You must be joking. They had been just as verbally abusive to me as Sophia, and now they wanted to leech off my success? I wasn't having it. Sorry, I said firmly, but I don't want to live with my family anymore. I'm going home now to look for an apartment to live alone. What? My mother gasped. Why? We've been living together all this time. Why suddenly live alone? I lived with you because I believed in something called family bonds, I explained, my voice steady but laced with pain. I thought that if we lived together, you might one day understand my job, my worth. But the result was different. You never understood my work, and you even insulted me. And now you want to rely on my money? Would you want to live with such people? I understand, my mother said, her tone softening. I'm sorry. From now on, I'll cherish you. Please continue living with us, okay? No, I said sharply. I said no, didn't I? I don't want to live with you anymore. Despite my clear refusal, my parents kept insisting. What if we kick Sophia out of the house? My father suggested. Then you'll live with us, right? What? Sophia gasped. Father, what are you saying? Shut up, he barked. I was a fool to expect anything from you. We'd be better off living with Emma than with you. It was a brutal moment, my father abandoning Sophia as a family member right in front of me. I didn't want to witness such cruelty. Father, I said, my voice firm, just so you know, I hate people who abandon others so easily the most. People like that will eventually flip-flop on me too, so I can't live with them. No way, my mother cried. Hey, you stupid husband, what are you doing, failing to lure her in? Shut up, he snapped back, and soon they were arguing among themselves. Caleb returned, now dressed in casual clothes. What's going on? You still fighting? Caleb. Sophia wailed. I can't believe you really want to change. Are you really going to call off the wedding? I hate this, she sobbed. Why is this happening? Yeah, Caleb said coldly, just so you know you're the cause, so you'll have to bear the full cancellation fee. I've already talked to our parents about it. What? Sophia cried. That's terrible. It's not just my fault, is it, sis? No matter how you look at it, it's your fault, I said, unflinching. Hey, she screamed. How dare you tell the boss to be quiet? Caleb interjected. I won't tolerate any more insults to the boss. Wait, please. Sophia begged. Boss, have you called the limo yet? No, I said. I got caught up in talking and forgot to call. Then I'll call it, Caleb said. I need to go home too. With that, he made the call, ignoring Sophia's pleas. Wait a minute, she cried. Please reconsider. Reconsider. Caleb said, his voice firm. What's going to change? I don't love you anymore, you know. Don't say that, she sobbed. It was my fault. I promise I won't say anything terrible to Emma again. We've had this conversation many times, Caleb said. Enough already. Boss, I've called the limo. It'll be here soon. Then let's wait outside, I said. I'll go change too. Wait, Emma. Sophia called after me. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about, I said, walking away. Emma, my parents begged. Without you, we'll have to rely on Sophia's money, but Sophia will pay the cancellation fee and run out of money. We won't be able to live properly. Father, mother, I said, turning to them, if you need money, why don't you get a part-time job or something? No way, my mother protested. I don't want to work at this age. It's okay, I said. There are still people working even in their 70s, and you're only in your 60s, right? You're still energetic. That's not the problem, my father snapped. My body is heavy, and it's hard to move, and you're telling me to work? Yes, I said firmly. Are we done here? I'm going to change, so don't talk to me anymore. After I get home, I'll pack my bags and stay at a hotel for now. I have no intention of dealing with you ever again. Hey, wait, my mother cried. Don't abandon us, Emma. But I was done. My sister and parents were screaming as I quickly changed and left the venue. I rode home in the limousine Caleb had called, packed my bags, and headed to a hotel. From there, I searched for apartments, signed a lease right away, and completely cut ties with my family. Sophia ended up having to pay the $30,000 wedding cancellation fee, and my parents were so furious with her that they disowned her. With no money left, they both had to take part-time jobs to survive. Sophia, having nowhere else to go after being disowned, began living as a gig worker, scraping by day to day. Meanwhile, I continued to grow my company, increasing my income and building a life I was proud of. I found happiness in my work and my independence, leaving behind the family that never valued me, About a month after my father's funeral, I received an unexpected call from my brother, Jackson. He had kicked my mother out of our family home and demanded that I take care of her from now on. I was stunned, unable to process the situation immediately. "You're joking, right?" I said. "You didn't actually kick Mom out of the house, did you?" "Come see for yourself," he replied coldly. "Oh, and I let her take Dad's memorial tablet." "Why would you do something so cruel?" I demanded, my voice shaking with anger. "I have no use for Mom now that we can't get Dad's inheritance," he said. "She's just a poor burden, isn't she?" I was horrified. Apparently, my late father had accumulated debts, and after paying them off, there was no inheritance left. Even worse, Jackson and his wife had been living in the family home all this time, acting as if they owned it. It was outrageous. "It's getting dark soon," Jackson continued. "If you don't come to pick her up, Mom will be sleeping on the streets. How could you be so cruel?" I said, my voice breaking. "I will never forgive you for this, Jackson." "I don't need your forgiveness," he snapped, hanging up without letting me respond. Subsequent calls went unanswered, leaving me furious and worried. When I finally reached my mother, she confirmed everything Jackson had said. "My name is Lily, a 27-year-old woman caught in a whirlwind of family drama. 3 years ago, I married Mason, who's the same age as me, and we've been living together since. At the start of our marriage, we lived with my parents in the family home, but 2 years ago, Jackson and his wife abruptly moved in, claiming our presence made the place too crowded. They forced us to leave, and we had no choice but to find our own place. My older brother, Jackson, 8 years my senior, has always been selfish, but his marriage seems to amplify that trait. Our family home, where I was born and raised, is a spacious mansion inherited from my grandfather, with extensive land that should have been more than enough for all of us to live comfortably together. I was furious about the situation and argued with Jackson, but my husband, who hates conflict, urged us to move out. Around that time, my father was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver, which had already progressed significantly. I desperately wanted to spend his final moments with him, but that didn't happen. The disease consumed him rapidly, and he passed away just a month ago. My heart ached, knowing my mother must be in even more pain. To have my own brother treat her so callously amidst our fresh sorrow was beyond cruel. An hour later, when I arrived at our family home, I found my mother sitting desolate on a suitcase in the garden, the front door locked. "Jackson took my keys," she said, her voice hollow. Using my own set of keys, I unlocked the door and walked in with her. Inside, Jackson and his wife, Olivia, were sprawled on the sofa, casually watching TV as if nothing was wrong. "Is this some kind of joke?" I demanded. "How did you get in?" "I used my key to open the front door," I said. "Isn't it obvious?" "Slipped my mind," Jackson said dismissively. "Leave your key, take the old lady, and go." "This isn't funny," I snapped. "How can you be watching TV after kicking your own mother out of the house? Besides, if the house remained even after Dad's debts were paid off, Mom has a right to live here." "Huh," Jackson scoffed. "What are you talking about?" Infuriated by his dismissive attitude, I stepped in front of the TV. "Mom has a right to inherit this house. If you can't live with her, you should be the one to leave." "Shut up," Jackson shouted. "This house is mine. Dad gave it to me when he was alive. Don't act smart without knowing anything." "What?" I said, shocked. "There's no way Dad gave this house to you." My mother looked puzzled, shaking her head. Jackson smirked and got up from the sofa, retrieving an envelope from a back room. "Look at this," he said, handing it to me. Inside were documents proving the inheritance, prepared by a judicial scrivener, along with a real estate ownership certificate. The property had been transferred to Jackson's name a month before Dad passed away. Mom and I were speechless, staring at the papers in disbelief. "Why would Dad do something like this?" I asked, my voice trembling. Jackson grinned smugly. "Because I'm his favorite, of course." I told him Mom would take the house once he passed away, so he gave it to me while he was still alive. That can't be. I cried. I can't believe it. Open your eyes and face reality, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. No matter how many times you check, the property is in my name. All this just for a house? My mother muttered, her voice heavy with disbelief. Is there no other inheritance? I asked. Nothing left for Mom? Nothing, Jackson said. Be glad the debts are cleared. You're not just worrying about Mom, he added, sneering. You realize there's no inheritance for you either, right? He handed over a bank card that contained only a few dollars. I wasn't after Dad's inheritance, but learning he'd left me nothing was a shock. This is too cruel, I said, my voice breaking. To add insult to injury, Olivia laughed hysterically, clearly enjoying our dejection. Now get lost, you poor people, she said. You have no business here. Jackson and Olivia forcibly drove us out of the house. As we stumbled outside, Mom fell, scraping her palm. Blood seeped from the wound, and I wrapped it in my handkerchief, tears of frustration welling up. My mother, seeing my distress, gently wiped my tears, her own eyes filled with sorrow. Mom, I said, my voice shaking, our place is small, but come stay with us. I don't want to impose on Mason, she said softly. I'll find somewhere else to stay. Don't worry, I insisted. I can't leave you like this. I'm going to call Mason right now. Wiping my tears, I dialed my husband. Hello, Mason, I said when he answered. I'm sorry for calling out of the blue, but Mom has been kicked out of her house. As I explained the situation, Mason listened patiently, though he seemed hesitant. Our apartment is pretty cramped compared to Mom's house, he said. It might not be the most comfortable. I know our place is tiny, I said, but I don't mind. Bring Mom over. We've had times when we were taken care of at home too. In times of trouble, we should help each other out. Mason, thank you so much, I said, my heart swelling with gratitude. My husband is a kind man with a big heart, always ready to help those in need. We quickly took Mom to our apartment, and from that day on, we lived together. However, living with 3 people in our small space was undeniably cramped. We don't have enough savings to buy a house yet, Mason said one day, but should we move to a slightly larger place? That might be good, I agreed. I feel bad for Mom in this small space. As we were searching for properties online, Mom's cell phone rang. After a brief conversation, she hung up and said something astonishing. Why don't we live in my Highlands condominium? What? I said, stunned. Highlands condominium? Yes, she said, smiling. Let me explain. To our utter surprise, Mom revealed that my grandfather, a wealthy but spendthrift man, had squandered much of his fortune. To manage his constant borrowing, my grandmother had sold off their farmland in Mackenzie. My father was also a big spender, but Mom had been prudent. We don't have any assets other than the house we lived in, she said, so I was worried about our future. That's why I invested in real estate with the money I earned when I was working before I got married. Mason and I were floored. It turned out that, in addition to the Highlands condominium, Mom was managing an apartment building and had made significant profits from her real estate investments. I can't even comprehend this, I said, laughing in disbelief. It's too amazing. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, Mom said. Anyway, I just got a call from the management company. There's a vacancy in the Highlands condominium, and we can move in next month. What do you think? There was no reason to refuse such a generous offer. The Highlands condominium had 3 bedrooms, a spacious living room, a dining room, and a modern kitchen, all just a 5-minute walk from the station. It was far more comfortable than our current cramped apartment. Thank you, Mom, I said, tears of gratitude in my eyes. But we may only be able to pay as much rent as we are for this apartment. You don't need to worry about that, she said warmly. No way, Mason said. We have to do this properly, even if we're family. Oh, I need to tell the landlord we're moving out, I said, excitement bubbling up. Seeing Mason and me beaming with joy, Mom's face brightened too. Time flew by as we prepared to move, and before we knew it, We had settled into our new home at the Highlands condominium. One day, as I was heading out for some shopping, I was shocked to see Jackson and Olivia standing at the condominium entrance. "Why are you, a pauper, living in the Highlands condominium?" Jackson sneered. "Did you hit the jackpot or something?" "Of course not," I said, keeping my composure. "The Highlands condominium has always belonged to Mom." "What?" they exclaimed in unison, staring at the towering building with disbelief. I couldn't help but burst into laughter at their confused, almost comical expressions. Jackson's face flushed red with anger. "That wretched woman," he spat. "I can't believe she was hiding this from us while pretending to be poor." "Mom never said she was poor," I said firmly. "You just assumed it, Jackson. Plus, she inherited a large house." "What's wrong with that?" "That's not the point," he shouted. "Don't yell here. It's disrespectful to the other residents. Besides, how did you know I was here?" Jackson admitted he'd tracked Mom down using her mobile phone's location when he couldn't reach her. "Why are you trying to contact Mom now after kicking her out?" I asked. "I bet it's something nasty again." "Regardless, if Mom's here, I want to see her," he insisted. "Let me in now." "You must be joking," I said, my voice firm. "If you hurt Mom again, I couldn't bear it." "If you have something to say, you can tell me." But they kept insisting on seeing Mom without explaining why. They seemed flustered, almost desperate. "Weren't you living comfortably in your huge family house, just the two of you?" I asked. "It's none of your business," Jackson snapped. "Fine," I said. "If you don't want to tell me, that's okay. I have to go now. Bye." As I tried to walk past them, Jackson grabbed my arm tightly. "Ouch!" "Let me go," I said. "Just call Mom," he demanded. "Absolutely not," I said. "I'll call the police." He scoffed, as if looking down on me. "There's no way the police would come for a simple family argument. Even if they did, there's no way you could sue me for just grabbing your arm." "I suppose you're right," I admitted, feeling a pang of frustration. Calling the police over something so minor might be futile and disruptive to others. I stayed silent, unsure of what to do next. "Fine," I said finally. "I'll tell Mom, but only if you tell me why you're here." Jackson hesitated, then blurted out, "The utility bills for that house are ridiculous. Just for the AC, the electric bill is $500. This is no joke." Their old, traditional-style house had more than 8 rooms, so it wasn't surprising that utility costs were high. But a $500 electricity bill seemed excessive, even for a hot summer when they likely overused the AC. "I thought you would have known that from the start," I said. "How would we have known?" Jackson snapped, scratching his head frantically. "Mom used to pay the bills." Olivia fumed beside him. "There's no way we would have known. Do you know the property tax for that house is $5,000 a year?" "What?" I said, feigning surprise. "I can't believe you didn't know. Why would an old house like that cost so much? How are we supposed to pay that?" Jackson whined. "Our house is old and has a large yard, so it's only natural it would cost a lot to maintain." I pointed out another reality they might not have considered. "And you know, apparently it costs more in taxes to give away property while you're alive than after you pass away. This is going to be tough going forward." "Wait, is that true?" Jackson asked, his face paling. "I see you didn't know," I said, relishing their shock. "This is all true information I heard from Mom." The color drained from their faces, and Olivia burst out in anger. "It's your fault for not doing your homework," she shouted at Jackson, and they started fighting right in front of me. "After all the trouble we went through to get Dad to change the name on the house, this is too much," Jackson yelled. "That's what you get for doing something so underhanded," Olivia snapped back. "But even Dad said clearly it would be better to give it to you than to Mom." I was stunned, falling silent as I realized my father had disregarded Mom and me. Seizing the moment, Jackson made an outrageous request. "You can have the house," he said. "Let's exchange it for this Highlands condominium." "What are you talking about?" I said, incredulous. "This isn't mine. It belongs to Mom." "Please, talk to Mom for me," he begged. I promise to pass on your message, nothing more." "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" he snapped, his frustration boiling over. Feeling ridiculous for even engaging with them, I gave up on shopping and started heading back into the Highlands condominium. But Jackson and Olivia tried to follow me inside. Their audacity left me speechless. "I'll sue you for trespassing," I warned. "You just told us that wouldn't be a legal issue." Jackson shot back. Exasperated, I called out to the management office next to the entrance. "Excuse me, could you please call security? Someone who's not a resident of the Highlands condominium is trying to force their way in." "What?" "Wait a minute," Jackson protested, but a large security guard, on standby 24/7, came running immediately. Startled by his presence, Jackson and Olivia froze. "I warned them one last time. I didn't call the police just now because you only grabbed my arm, but if you try to use force or enter the Highlands condominium again, I will really call the police." "Okay, we beg you, don't do that," they said, clearly scared. "If I even catch a glimpse of you, I'll report it," I said. "So go back to your mansion that you got from Dad." "Got it." Apparently terrified of the police, they hastily retreated. I returned to my apartment and told Mom about the encounter. "Why did Dad let Jackson inherit the house?" I asked, feeling downcast. Mom smiled gently. "Dad must have known what he was doing when he let Jackson inherit. He didn't want to burden me or you, Lily. Even though Dad was indifferent about money, he cared for us a lot. He always said he loved you so much, Lily." "Really?" I said, overjoyed to hear that my father felt that way about me. When Mom heard about the inheritance from Jackson, she muttered, "Are you going this far?" She realized Dad had given Jackson a severe punishment for his self-centered behavior. "You knew how Dad felt, Mom?" I asked. "Of course, dear," she said. "We were together for 38 years. I know what he was thinking without him saying a word. Besides, Jackson never took care of Dad when he was sick." I had been under the impression that Jackson and Olivia were looking after Dad, but it turned out they hardly visited him, not at home and barely in the hospital. When I visited Dad, Mom said, he'd often tell me, "Jackson comes to see me, and you have your job to attend to, Lily. There's no need for you to go out of your way." I took his words to heart, not realizing it was a gentle lie meant to ease my worries. "I had it all wrong about Dad," I said, feeling awful. "I want to apologize." "Don't fret, Lily," Mom said. "Your feelings are reaching Dad in heaven. The ones who should worry are Jackson and Olivia. Who these days would buy a big, high-maintenance house like that? I bet they'll struggle to find a buyer." Her mischievously gleeful words proved true. Jackson and Olivia, unable to maintain the house, put it up for sale but couldn't find a buyer. They continued living in it, even a year later. Then, Olivia accidentally started a grease fire while cooking, and the house burned down. Without fire insurance, their life became even tougher. They're now camping out in the ruins of their once grand mansion, scraping by with nothing left. Living in the Highlands condominium is absolutely fantastic, and I feel nothing but gratitude toward my mother. I've been paying her rent every month, but she's been saving it all to ensure we won't face hardship in the future. Every day is filled with peace and happiness as I live with my incredible mother and kind husband. As I visit my father's grave, I vow to repay my mother's kindness for the rest of my life. Family trips are supposed to bring people together, but for me, they tore everything apart. It all started on the first day of a family vacation with my husband's family. We were on our way to a luxury hotel, a rare treat I'd planned to strengthen our strained relationships. We stopped at a highway gas station, and in a moment I'll never forget, I was left behind, abandoned and alone. My name is Susan, and I'm 30 years old. I focus on housework, not working outside the home, while my husband, Thomas, is a management consultant who's often away on business. Since my father-in-law passed away, Thomas has been covering all of his mother's living expenses, so we decided to live with her in our home. Linda, my mother-in-law, was thrilled to have her only son back, but she made it clear she wasn't pleased about me, his wife, Coming along. I'm not glamorous, and I have no interest in designer brands. I do a lot of water-related chores, so my hands are rough despite my best efforts to care for them. I choose practical clothes that are easy to move in, but to Linda, I'm an embarrassing daughter-in-law, not someone she'd proudly show off. She's always been a show-off, obsessed with appearances and luxury brands. She long ago spent her grandfather's inheritance and her savings, but she refuses to change her lavish lifestyle, constantly begging Thomas for more money. Thomas always refused her demands for luxury spending, saying, "I'm giving you living expenses, not money for extravagance." But Linda never gave up, always causing trouble. To make matters worse, my sister-in-law, Jessica, and her husband live nearby. Jessica shares her mother's character, always making snide remarks. "Thomas could do better than a plain woman like you," she'd say, her words cutting deep. Jessica comes to our house every day, demanding meals, baths, and drinks, but never contributes money or helps with chores. "You're Thomas's wife," she'd say, "so it's only natural you do all the housework. You're not good looking, so at least keep the house clean." Susan has always been poor and doesn't understand anything about brands, right? Linda would chime in, piling on the insults. Yet, she'd tell Thomas she did all the housework herself, and Jessica would claim we were good friends. I've worked in customer service, so I've used that experience to avoid major conflicts with them over the past few years. But Thomas noticed everything, the endless housework I did, the terrible way they treated me. He didn't confront them directly because I asked him not to. I wanted to avoid a complete breakdown with his family, no matter how cruelly they treated me. "You don't have to push yourself so hard," Thomas would say. "I'm okay with cutting ties and living separately." "Thank you," I'd reply, "but I want to try a little harder. I'm thinking of planning a family trip to improve our relationship. What do you think?" "That sounds good," he said, supportive as always. "I can take time off next month, so let's all go." Since we started dating, Thomas and I have loved traveling together. Even after moving in with Linda, we enjoyed occasional trips just for the two of us. But when Linda and Jessica realized we were staying at luxury hotels, they insisted on coming along. "You two are so heartless, going on luxurious trips without us," they'd say. "From now on, take us with you and make sure it's extravagant." Their persistence wore me down, so I booked a luxurious hotel for the whole family, including Jessica's husband. Linda and Jessica were thrilled, but just before the trip, Thomas's work made it impossible for him to join us. I considered postponing, but Linda had already bragged to the neighbors about the souvenirs she'd bring back, insisting we couldn't change plans now. Reluctantly, I agreed to go with the four of us, excluding Thomas. On the day of the trip, I loaded Linda and Jessica's luggage into the trunk, but there was no room left for mine, so I carried my travel bag inside the car. Throughout the drive, their snide remarks never stopped. "You're driving so slowly, Susan," Linda complained. "Are you just careless because Thomas isn't here?" "Really," I said, trying to stay calm. "There was an accident today, so I'm being cautious." "You're just good at making excuses," Jessica sneered. "You must have deceived Thomas the same way." "I didn't deceive anyone," I said, my patience wearing thin. "If only slow Susan weren't here, this trip would be more fun, right, Mom?" Jessica said, laughing. "Yes, indeed," Linda agreed, her voice dripping with disdain. As we approached another gas station, Jessica made a surprising suggestion. "Let my husband drive the rest of the way, Susan." "You must be tired." Having been forced to prepare their luggage and clean the house before our early departure, I was exhausted. "Sure," I said, grateful for the break. "Susan, could you buy drinks for everyone?" Linda asked, her tone unusually kind. "Sure, that's fine," I said, hopeful that they were finally warming up to me. Maybe they wanted to improve our relationship, just like I did. But as I stepped out of the car, the engine roared to life. Linda threw my luggage out, and with a mocking smile, she yelled, "Family trips are more enjoyable without the daughter-in-law. You're just in the way." I stood frozen, watching the car speed away, leaving me and my travel bag behind in the gas station parking lot. The words Linda hurled at me echoed in my mind, shattering any hope I had of mending our relationship. No matter how much I did for them, it was all in vain. Reaching for my bag, my vision blurred with tears. I ran to the restroom, covering my eyes with a hand towel as I sobbed uncontrollably. I don't know how long I stayed there, but a notification on my phone snapped me out of it. It was a message from Thomas, who had finished work early and was checking on the trip. As I read it, he called. "Thomas," I said, my voice breaking, "I'm alone at a highway gas station right now." "What?" "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. Hearing his voice, I broke down again, explaining everything through my tears. "I'm really sorry that Mom and the others did this to you," he said. "I'll come pick you up right away." "I'm sorry this happened." "Why are you apologizing?" I said, "I wanted to get along with your precious family, and I couldn't." "Tell me how you really feel," he said gently. "Do you still want to try to make things work with Mom and the others?" Right now, I admitted, I can only think that it's too difficult. "I'm sorry for what my family did," he said. "I'll handle the separation and everything else with Mom and the others. But is it okay for you to leave your feelings as they are? You've been holding back from me all this time, haven't you?" He was right. I'd been suppressing my anger toward Linda and Jessica for years, trying to keep the peace. "Yes," I said, my voice trembling with newfound resolve. "I can't be with those people. I absolutely hate it." Expressing that anger felt surprisingly refreshing, like a weight had been lifted. "You can do whatever you want from now on, Susan," Thomas said. "I'll take care of the rest." "I understand," I said. "No matter what happens, I won't let them hurt me anymore." A few hours later, Thomas arrived at the gas station. Being with him brought a natural smile to my face, and I realized how calm and happy we could be together without his family's toxicity. Even though I felt bad for worrying him, his thoughtful care helped me rest and recover. The next day, Thomas made a surprising proposal. "I've narrowed down options for a new home near your parents' house," he said. "What's going on all of a sudden?" I asked, shocked. "I want to make sure we're not bothered by Mom and the others," he said. "Let's finish moving during the 3 days of the trip." "Will it be difficult for you to move, Susan?" My careful, planned husband would never act so impulsively unless he was truly angry, but he wore a lovely smile for me. "I'm all for moving," I said, excited. "Let's get started right away." We quickly found a new home and a moving company, and the move went smoothly. During this time, I received several emails from Linda and Jessica, gloating about their trip. "We're having the best time without you," they wrote. "The hotel is luxurious and wonderful. Make sure it's at this level next time. Dinner was the most extravagant and delicious ever. It's even more fun without seeing Susan's ugly face. Traveling with just the family is so much more relaxing. The jacuzzi is amazing." Their words stung, but I was looking forward to what would happen next. At 10 a.m. on checkout day, as expected, I got a call from Linda. "Susan, what's going on?" she demanded. "What do you mean?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "They told me the accommodation fee is $100,000, she shouted. "If the young lady isn't there, it's completely different from what you told us." "It's only natural," I said calmly. "The regular accommodation fee applies since I booked it through my connections, and I'm not there." "What do you mean?" she said. "That hotel is run by your relatives?" "Yes," I said. "That's why we were able to stay at a special rate." "Well, I didn't know that," she cried. "By the way, all the hotels we've stayed at on our trips were run by those relatives, so we got discounts." "Susan, you never told us that before." "Thomas told me to keep quiet about it," I said, "because if you and Jessica found out, you'd demand it be free." "What?" she gasped. "Anyway, the accommodation fee is correct, so please pay it yourself." "Wait a minute," she protested. "I can't pay $100,000. You didn't go on the trip, so you can't pay for us all." "You said the wife of your son isn't family, didn't you?" I said, my voice steady. "You all enjoyed yourselves as a family, so please pay as a family. Goodbye." I hung up, ignoring her continued yelling, feeling a rush of relief. In the end, Linda and Jessica borrowed money from a shady source to cover the fee, and when they returned home, they could no longer get living expenses from Thomas or me since we had moved. They ended up fighting and parting ways with Jessica's family, and Jessica's marriage deteriorated, leading to a divorce. Jessica, abandoned by her husband and without income, looked for work in nightlife, but struggled to find employment due to her bad personality. With no one left to rely on, Linda went to Thomas's company, begging to live with us. She looked older than her age, with hollow eyes, a haggard face, and dirty clothes. Even as she cried in the company lobby, Thomas firmly declared a break in relations. Linda ended up working exhaustively at a terrible live-in job. Years later, Thomas and I welcomed a lovely child and are living happily. We're planning to stay at that luxury hotel we couldn't visit before, just the three of us. The hotel owner's relative invited us because they want to meet our child, and we're looking forward to it with all our hearts. My husband changed after his company took off. He didn't even try to hide that he was cheating with another woman. When I confronted him, he just laughed in my face. "You're trash that doesn't earn a cent," he said. "You should just be grateful I'm supporting you." But when I said I'd get a job, he mocked me again. "Do as you please," he sneered. That's when I decided to start my revenge. My name is Karen, a 34-year-old homemaker. My husband, Michael, is 36 and runs a printing company. We met at the same company, where I worked in the illustration department and he was in sales. We fell in love and married when I was 26. After settling down, Michael quit his job and consulted with me about starting a new company. I was unsure, so we discussed it with our business partner, Bob, a CEO we'd worked with before, who handled advertising for his company's products. Bob supported our venture and even invested money. "I'm a fan of Karen's illustrations," he said, and I was overwhelmed with gratitude. "We'll definitely make our company a success, just the two of us," I declared to Bob. Initially, we struggled, living in a small apartment, but once the company took off, we moved into a high-rise condominium. That's when Michael asked me to focus on being a homemaker. "I'll hire someone else for the illustrations," he said. "Eventually, I want you to support me." I couldn't say no. I reported my decision to Bob, who genuinely felt sorry for me. "It's sad to think I won't see your illustrations anymore," he said, "but if you ever want to start again, just tell me. I'll be here to support you." "Thank you so much," I said, touched by his kindness. So, I became a homemaker to support Michael, but I never stopped loving drawing. I started uploading my illustrations to Instagram as a hobby, and the response was incredible, becoming my secret pleasure. As Michael's company thrived, our lifestyle grew more prosperous. He bought a new car and custom-made suits from renowned brands. I thought it was an unnecessary expense, but I understood that appearances matter when you're the boss. No matter how busy he was, Michael always had dinner at home, a promise we made to always have time for each other. During those dinners, he'd share the company's future prospects, and I felt happy supporting his dreams. I thought this would last forever. But as the company's performance soared, Michael's attitude changed. He stopped talking about the company during dinner. "How's the company doing?" "Everything fine." I'd ask. "Yeah." He'd reply unenthusiastically, brushing me off. When I pressed, he snapped, "Don't talk about it. You won't understand. You're always at home. Don't make me explain every little thing." His words shocked me. I tried to convince myself he was just tired, but the distance grew. He started having dinner outside, citing socializing or entertaining, even though he used to prioritize our dinners. I'd wait for him, holding off on eating myself, but he'd come home late without even an email excuse. When I brought it up, he'd yell, his demeanor completely changed. I felt like nothing more than a servant. Tears welled up as I realized we'd endured hard times together when starting the company, but now I felt lower than his subordinates. I didn't do housework because I loved it. I wanted to continue my illustration work, but more than that, I wanted to make Michael's dreams come true. That gratitude had vanished, and while he was away, I immersed myself in my illustrations, the only thing that relieved my stress. My Instagram followers grew, and the kind comments, including one from Bob, lifted my spirits. Bob offered to work together again, and just thinking about it gave me hope. Without it, I might not have been able to go on. As the rift between us widened, I sensed another woman's presence. I found a scent of perfume on Michael's suit jacket, one he'd never use. When I questioned him, he brushed it off with a smirk. Must have come from an acquaintance, he said, acting as if being caught was no big deal. For the first time, my sadness turned to anger. I'd had enough of his mockery. Left alone at home, unable to do anything but chores, I felt increasingly isolated, anxious about being left behind by society. My friends called my worries luxurious, and my parents laughed them off. I had to face this alone. One night, Michael came home drunk, and I cared for him, putting him to bed. That's when I noticed a lipstick mark on his shirt, a clear declaration of war from another woman. The next day, I confronted him. "Where were you last night? What's this kiss mark?" He was surprised, but unfazed. "I was out at a bar with friends." "Must have happened then. You'd have to take off your jacket for that to happen, right? Didn't you notice?" I pressed. "I don't remember," he said, standing up and slapping my cheek. I fell backward, stunned by the pain. "When will you get it?" he sneered. "Who do you think's providing for us?" Tears spilled down my face as I watched him retreat to his room. He'd changed, he no longer loved me. From then on, he became violent whenever something displeased him. If he didn't like the meal I'd prepared, he'd throw the plate on the floor. "This tastes awful," he'd yell. "Do you even know what I eat every day? If you want to stay my wife, you better improve your cooking skills." He'd storm out, saying, "I'll eat out. If I eat this, it'll affect my work." I chased after him, desperate. "Wait. I want to cook what you like, but you never come home or talk to me. How can I make something delicious like that?" He clicked his tongue, annoyed by my plea. "So, shall we get a divorce then?" "I'm totally fine with it. I can live without you, but you can't live without me, can you?" He smirked, calling me a piece of garbage that doesn't make a single cent and a parasite living off me. Those words broke something inside me. This man would never change, the kind, considerate husband I'd known was gone. "Then I'll get a job," I said, my voice trembling with determination. "What?" he laughed, clutching his stomach. "Who would hire a powerless person like you?" I held back my anger, knowing I couldn't lose control. Physical strength wouldn't win this fight. I needed another way. "Do as you please," he said, "but don't neglect the housework with your insignificant earnings." "I won't allow that." As soon as he left, I hired a detective to gather evidence of his infidelity. The photos came quickly, Michael with flashy women, enjoying drinks and entering hotels with different partners. He was baiting them with money, living a life of reckless indulgence. Seeing the photos and hearing the detective's report, I felt no anger or sadness, only a cold clarity. His flashy behavior made it easy to collect evidence. A week later, I went to a restaurant on the top floor of a hotel, wearing the most beautiful clothes I could find, though I felt out of place among the upscale customers. Bob, the president of Michael's parent company, was already seated. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting," I said. No, he said, smiling warmly. "I've been eagerly waiting for you, Karen. Making me wait isn't a big deal at all." "Thank you so much for supporting us during our independence," I said, grateful for his past kindness. "I was surprised when you said you two were going independent," he said, "but since I'd worked with you for a long time, funding you is no big deal. It seems the company is doing well, thanks to you." His face turned stern at my words. "Well, that's true, I guess, but today it's about you accepting my invitation, right?" "Yes, please," I said, straightening up. Bob had always praised my illustrations, and he'd been the only one to advise against becoming a homemaker. We'd lost touch, but he found me on social media and left a comment, leading to our renewed communication. You understood my illustrations well, didn't you? I said, I'm a fan of yours, and I'm really glad you didn't quit illustrating. I never thought you'd scout me, though, I said, smiling. Bob had offered to hire me as an illustrator via SMS some time ago, but I declined due to household duties. He kept inviting me, and a week ago, during a conversation with Michael, I decided to accept. Bob looked hesitant, but finally met my eyes. I don't want to say this, but Michael's company has a really bad reputation. What? I said, shocked. Everything Michael told me about his job was positive. I've worked with him for a long time, Bob said, but ever since the business started growing, the quality of work has declined. Deadlines are missed, mistakes are made, and he doesn't seem to reflect on it. His company was growing rapidly, so it drew attention, but now it's attracting the wrong kind of attention. There are even rumors of him associating with a bad group. I didn't know that, I said, realizing how little I knew about my husband. To lighten the mood, Bob said cheerfully, anyway, you'll be drawing illustrations for us from now on. No need to outsource it. It's a big benefit for our company. Thank you for accommodating my request to not affect my family life, I said. It's okay, he said with a smile. We don't intend to overwork our employees. And so I started working for Bob, drawing illustrations remotely so I could balance household duties. I rediscovered the joy of creating art I loved, not just as a hobby, but as a fulfilling job. My income grew, and I realized I could live independently without issue. One day, as I worked, the door slammed loudly. Michael stormed in, his eyes blazing with rage. You traitor, he shouted. I couldn't understand his sudden outburst. To think my wife would take my job, he yelled. It hit me then, since starting with Bob, I'd worked with other companies, many of them Michael's business partners, thanks to Bob's recommendations. This was my revenge, and it must have been infuriating for him to lose jobs to the woman he looked down on. You have no right to tell me anything, I said calmly. I've just done my job. I have your permission. His eyes filled with rage, but I stood my ground. Go ahead, hit me if you want. Then I'll call the police. The word police seemed to calm him slightly. My company is failing because of you, he said. What are you trying to do? It has nothing to do with me, I said, walking to the room and retrieving the divorce papers. We're not husband and wife anymore. Don't be ridiculous, he said. You're divorcing me because my company is failing? You're just a gold digger. I could have divorced you at any time, I said, but I thought now was the right timing. After all, I have a lot of work now and I'm making money. Hey, wait, he said, panicking. Let's talk about the company's future before we talk about divorce. We started this company together, didn't we? You kicked me out of that company, remember? I said, I have nothing to do with it now, and I'll make sure to get compensation. Michael bit his lip, irritated. How greedy can you be? You can't claim compensation when you're the one asking for a divorce. Do you know how many times you've hit me? I said, and you were having affairs without a care. I have all the evidence. That's enough to claim compensation. I showed him the photos proving his affairs. He fell to his knees, begging. Please, the company's in dire straits. I can't handle compensation or divorce on top of that. Please support me. As soon as people found out the company was doing badly, they abandoned me. You're the only one who hasn't. I didn't listen to his pathetic pleas. I left the house with only my work tools and a change of clothes. The next time I returned was when the divorce was finalized to pick up my belongings. Michael's company was making mistakes everywhere, and no one wanted to work with him. To pay me compensation, he spent his days begging. Meanwhile, I started living alone, making a living drawing my favorite illustrations. I've become quite wealthy, but I live with integrity, taking my ex-husband as a negative example of what not to become. What's the point of a husband who won't stand up for his wife? My daughter, Marin, was being bullied by her mother-in-law, and her husband, Ricky, wouldn't even defend her. Instead, he said, "Mother-in-law, this is just part of her education as a wife. If you don't like it, take her back home. So I did just that. I brought my daughter back home with me. My name is Susie, a 50-year-old woman who's raised my only daughter, Marin, on my own since my husband passed away in a car accident when she was in kindergarten. It's been tough, and I'm sure there were days when Marin felt lonely or upset, but she graduated high school, went to college, and became a working adult at a well-established local company that runs a bakery, pharmacy, and real estate business. About a year ago, after 3 years at the company, Marin told me she had a boyfriend, Ricky, a polite and quiet sales rep from one of their clients. I was hopeful he'd be a good match for my outgoing daughter. Mom, I've decided to marry Ricky, she told me 3 months ago, her smile radiant. I was thrilled she'd found happiness, and we celebrated with a grand wedding and housewarming. At first, Marin seemed ecstatic, but as time passed, her voice grew less cheerful, and it became harder to reach her. I thought it was just post-wedding blues, so I waited for her to reach out. She's an adult, I told myself. It's not my place to meddle. But I was wrong. Hey, Marin looks really worn out, my friend Karen, who lives near Marin, told me. That's not just wedding blues. Are you sure she's okay? What do you mean? I asked, alarmed. Her complexion is terrible. I asked if she was pregnant, but she said no. She looked really sad. Karen's tone was accusatory. I haven't been able to reach her lately, I admitted. She's not answering her phone. You should try contacting her again, Karen urged. Encouraged by her insistence, I called Marin. Hello, Marin, it's Mom, I said. Just checking in on you. There was only silence on the other end. Marin, can you hear me? Are you okay? Mom, she said, her voice breaking, and she burst into tears. I'm not okay. Hearing that Marin wasn't doing well, I regretted not visiting her sooner. I'd been so wrapped up in work that I'd neglected her. She'd always put on a bright face for me, but now she was in tears. I held back my emotions and rushed to her side. Marin, Mom's here, I said, hugging her tightly. She looked worn out, a shadow of the vibrant woman she'd been just months ago. What happened to you? I asked, rubbing her back. Relieved, Marin began to speak through her tears. Ricky's parents are bullying me, she said. They say I'm uncivilized because I was raised by a single mom, so they're disciplining me. I looked at her hands. Her once beautiful fingertips were cracked and sore. This is terrible, I said, horrified. They tell me to wash dishes with cold water to save hot water, she said, and to hand wash clothes before using the washing machine. I have to mop the floor every morning. Fuming, she added, what hurts the most is when they badmouth you, Mom. I was livid and stormed into the living room, confronting Ricky's parents. What are you doing to my daughter? I demanded. What's going on? They said, coming out. Who do you think you are, making a scene in our home? You're bullying my daughter under the guise of discipline. I shouted. This is why we can't deal with women from single-parent homes, they retorted. We're just disciplining an uncivilized girl. Your attitude is unacceptable. They began to mock us, but then Ricky emerged, hearing the commotion. What's going on? He asked. Your wife is so flawed that we're disciplining her, his mother said, and her unreasonable mother is making a fuss. I turned to Ricky. If you're her husband, don't just stand there, help Marin. You're misunderstanding, Ricky said arrogantly. Marin is failing as a wife. My parents are just trying to make her presentable. You're a failure as a husband if you can't protect your own wife. I snapped. Stop this nonsense. You're taking advantage of my parents' kindness, Ricky retorted. I did you a favor by marrying a woman from a single-parent home. If you have a problem, take her back with you. He shook off my hand, and I lost my balance, falling at the entrance. Mom, are you okay? Marin rushed to my side. I'm fine, I said. Marin, you don't need to stay here any longer. Get a divorce. She nodded weakly. Okay, I understand. As we prepared to leave, Ricky's parents sneered. You're probably going back to some rundown apartment, they said. Feel free to come back anytime, but only if you apologize deeply. I retorted. You're the ones who don't get it. This house isn't yours. Don't get it twisted. What are you talking about? Ricky said. This house was inherited by Marin from her grandfather, right? What's hers is mine. Actually, I said, pulling out a copy of the land registry, inherited property doesn't automatically become the spouse's. That's the law. The document proved I was the legal owner, as Marin's grandfather had left the house to me, not directly to her. I'd been paying the taxes and had gifted them the house as a wedding present, free of rent and taxes. What? Ricky said, stunned. I've never heard about this. She's probably bluffing, his mother said, refusing to believe us. Listen, I said, you have no right to live here. If you understand, leave. Despite my declaration, they remained defiant. That's your problem, they said. We're staying. You're the one who should leave. Fine, I said. I'll see you in court. Taking Marin with me, we left the house. Neighbors had gathered, whispering after hearing the commotion. Among them was Karen. Are you okay? She asked, concerned. Sorry for causing a scene, I said. I'll explain everything later. After that, Ricky and his family tried to stay in the house, but word spread in our small town. People noticed Marin's declining health since her marriage and learned how they'd bullied her, tried to kick her out, and attempted to take over the house. They were shunned as a disgraceful family, even told not to dispose of their trash at the community dump. Within a month, they fled in the night, Karen told me, chuckling. Ricky called me multiple times, blaming me for their inability to stay in the house due to harassment. Apologize now, he demanded. I'm not sure what you're talking about, I said, brushing him off. Apologize, and we'll clear up the misunderstanding with the neighbors, he said. Then we'll forgive you. He still thought they'd done nothing wrong. Disgusted, I hung up. A week later, Ricky and his family showed up at my house unannounced, stunned to see where I lived. Yes, I live in one of the city's most luxurious high-rise apartments. After my husband's passing, I took over his company as CEO, working hard for Marin's sake. The company grew, allowing me to afford this lifestyle. Upon discovering this, Ricky and his family changed their tune. We're really sorry, Ricky said, forcing a smile. We had no idea you were so well off. Yes, his mother added. It's our fault for not knowing better. If we'd known you lived here, we would have treated you differently. So you're apologizing because I live here? I asked sarcastically. No, Ricky's mother said. Actually, we sold our house to live with Ricky and Marin, but now we have nowhere to go. We wanted to provide a good home for our parents, Ricky said, so we proposed living together. We sold our house for that reason, and now we're stuck in a run-down apartment. Ricky's mother faked tears. Can you help us out? Could you give us some financial support or let us live in an empty room in this high-rise? I smiled coldly. Remember what you did to my daughter? Even if you've forgotten, I never will. Please leave. What? You're abandoning your own family, they protested. Marin, who had witnessed everything, called the police. They arrived promptly, found the three, and sent them away. Marin had consulted the police several times after her divorce, reporting that Ricky was stalking her, wanting to reconcile. His family continued to show up at her apartment complex, but the concierge handled it. They've been scraping by in a cheap, run-down 2-bedroom apartment, having squandered the money from selling their house on new furniture during the move. Ricky's parents can't adjust to a less luxurious lifestyle and continue to live recklessly, exploiting their son. Ricky, banned from Marin's company after the divorce, lost a major client, derailing his career. His parents have started looking for work, but their age, skills, and neighborhood gossip make it difficult to find good jobs. They continue to live in hardship. I decided to open my father's house as a community center for the neighborhood, occasionally checking in to ensure Ricky's family isn't causing trouble. Marin told me I'm an adult now and I wanted to handle my husband myself. I didn't want to worry you, Mom. It's not shameful to ask for help, I said. The sooner you speak up, the less you'll suffer. So speak up sooner from now on. After the divorce, Marin has been living in my high-rise apartment, working at the same company as before. She was downcast at first, but is now back to her old, vibrant self, helping around the house. We plan to live happily together for the foreseeable future. While out shopping, I checked the baby monitor app on my phone and saw a strange woman trying to pick up my daughter, Mary, from her crib. My husband was blissfully napping next to her. "Wake up, you," I shouted, drenched in sweat, though I knew he couldn't hear me. I'd left my 3-month-old daughter in his care while I went shopping, and though he'd happily agreed to watch her, he'd fallen asleep instead. I regretted trusting him, but it was too late. Frantically, I called him, preparing to rush to the police, when an unbelievable sight stopped me in my tracks. My name is Arya, a 35-year-old elementary school teacher. My husband, also 35, is my high school sweetheart and now runs his own business. After years of fertility treatments, we were blessed with Mary. He'd gaze at her, saying, "She's so cute," clearly delighted, though he never took care of her. Before Mary was born, we'd grown apart. He was a workaholic, coming home late and working on his days off. I was busy too, often returning after dark due to grading tests and preparing lessons. His attitude toward me grew colder. "I come home early, and you're not here," he'd say. "There's no dinner, and the house is a mess. What's the point of us being married?" "I'm sorry," I'd say. "I've been busy with work." "You're the wife. Act like it," he'd snap. This isn't a relaxing home. He thought housework was my job, never lifting a finger to help. I did all the cooking and laundry, no matter how. Please feel free to comment below if you like this. Remember to like and subscribers for more.